A couple days ago, a YouTuber by the name of SunnyV2 uploaded a video by the name of a huge new update on EDP445 from bad to worse. Now, I was featured in this video talking about this whole situation that happened last year with the YouTuber known as EDP445. Now, the reason why this video speaks out to me a lot is when I first saw it in my YouTube, recommended, it had the thumbnail, finally in prison. In fact, to this day, it still has finally in prison. Now, there wasn't really a question mark at the end of it, so I immediately thought, maybe EDP is finally actually in a prison cell. Who knows? Now, for those of you wondering why this is a big deal, is last year, EDP was basically caught in a predator sting by a YouTube channel known as Chet Goldstein, which has since been removed for its own controversies, who partnered with a actual group known as CC Unit, where they actually hunted down people who are predators on the internet. Now, EDP was caught in a sting that you can actually still watch on the internet as an upload, alright, by various channels, where it was a 50-minute video where EDP was caught in California, actually trying to meet with what he believed, what he had been interacting with as somebody as young as 14 or something. So in this case, when you watch this entire video, it is absolutely heinous. I personally, when it came out, and I'm not exaggerating here, I couldn't finish this video because of how deplorable it was. EDP basically sat in here and started admitting to the kind of stuff that you probably shouldn't be admitting to. Now, this is a big sort of thing that happened last year, because the first real glimpses of it was this little video right here where EDP's full chat logs were leaked out, where he was showcasing his guns, interacting with somebody, and also, I'm not going to joke here, defecating and showing the defecation on whoa! Alright, it was disgusting, okay? I'm just going to be honest with you. When you see EDP's long string of fecal matter, it changes a man, let me tell you. It really does change who you are at the inner core, okay? It'll actually turn you into something else. Now, everyone covered it. I covered it. Charlie covered it. Every single channel looked at it. I'm pretty sure cooking channels from Venezuela were looking into this and going America's pretty weird, champ, isn't it? Now, to understand, I'm not going to make this video defending EDP. I don't think anybody should defend EDP. The kind of stuff that EDP admitted to was absolutely heinous, and if EDP deserves to be anywhere, it's in a prison cell, okay, paying for the actions that he admitted to on camera. Now, because of how botched this investigation was, because let's be honest here, YouTube investigations when it comes to this kind of stuff, and when you don't involve things like law enforcement, can absolutely backside and be absolutely terrible for you, okay? That's unfortunately the grim reality of the situation. The way Chet Goldstein and the CC Unit team handled this, EDP was never really put into the legal system, okay? So there wasn't anything that we were hearing about him being arrested. There were a couple news articles, there were a couple news broadcasts, because it was, pretty trending stuff. But there was no indication that EDP ever entered the legal system, EDP was ever arrested, and EDP ever got processed for the stuff that he admitted to. And the problem with that is when you handle investigations like this without law enforcement, you absolutely end up sullying the entire water. You muddy the water so hard that somebody like EDP, even after admitting the kind of stuff that he did for 50 minutes, could hire a legal team and find his way out of a situation, could possibly weasel his way, navigate his way, matrix bullet dodge his way through what could eventually come to him in a very serious manner. So today I wanted to sit down and kind of uncover, has EDP actually been busted? Now, in order to start this video off with, we need to look at patterns of remorse, okay? When people are caught like this, there's usually a situation that needs to occur where somebody actually comes out, admits full on that what I did was wrong. What I did was a no-no. Now, in EDP's case, that never actually happened. Now, this isn't the first time EDP was ever caught with allegations as serious as this. There are channels known as OG Cold Raven that ended up actually covering EDP for a while, okay? These were a lot of videos that they ever ended up getting into. But if you actually look at some of these titles over here and some of the actual stuff that they cover, another girl exposed him. 7 in total, allegedly. Now, there are channels that, I follow, like Diesel Patches, for instance, who actually covered this entire situation. He talked about it, and EDP's one reaction to this entire set of videos was, why would I ever actually do something like this? Why would I throw away my entire life for this kind of stuff? I don't know, man. Why would you throw away what is in fact one of the easiest careers on stuff as serious as this? Of course, this all aged like milk when the actual sting had happened, okay? When the actual bombshell had dropped all over the internet. Now, to understand, YouTube, like most social media platforms, ended up removing EDP's channels throughout the entire system. Why? Because when EDP was caught with something as serious as this, and it blew up the way that it did, where every channel was covering it, there's actually a few things that YouTube can do. They can either defend the situation, or choose to rub their hands free of the entire situation and toss it away and pretend like nothing had happened. Of course, YouTube would rather trim the fat than potentially deal with a situation that was becoming more mainstream as the days passed. Shortly after the sting had happened and the world thought that EDP had disappeared from the internet, to show you the lack of severe remorse, this is one clip that was uploaded apparently on a website known as 3speak.io. Now, of course, EDP had claimed that he was just going out to get some cupcakes apparently in that sting operation. What kind of video do you think this man uploads after being lambasted on the internet? Check this out. No, you don't in fact have cataracts, okay? Actually, don't take that. If you do have cataracts, go get, like, help with that. But you weren't in fact not seeing that properly. This is in fact him starting the video off, like, chomping down on cupcakes. Now, you think that the man is an entire supervillain, okay, from Far Cry after uploading a video like this? You know, right after he got caught trying to, like, look for some good old cupcakes. Now, to understand, this is bad. But EDP eventually had come back without ever even mentioning this entire situation. Now, obviously, after being caught in a sting operation, usually what people like this will do, and what you probably should be doing, is contacting lawyers. Because when you are caught with something this serious, the next steps you take are so vital that if you say anything wrong on the internet after that, people are going to be scrubbing through and viewing every single intention. When you get a legal team, you know what the lawyers say? They say, shut up. They say, shut the fuck up. Don't mention a single word, be quiet, and we'll handle all of it. Now, of course, legal teams are expensive, and they probably drain the shit out of EDP's finances, but we're going to get that into a little bit, okay? Because the story does take a turn for the worst, but frankly, I'm making this video because I'm so invested in this and interested that I want to finish this off and seek the truth, or at least as much of the truth, before I can move on with my life and put this entire thing to rest. Now, EDP had platforms on like Instagram and like Facebook and whatnot, and while a lot of these platforms were slowly being taken down, there were people out in the wild taking videos and like streams, finding EDP in like weirder places. For instance, this is one really infamous sort of like Instagram live that I saw even back then, where they had found EDP just frankly outside of McDonald's ordering meals, and everything seemed like it was whatever. EDP moved on with his life, it was what it was. In fact, at this moment, only like 60 people were even watching this. So EDP was largely a forgotten story at this point. All this guy really had to do was stay off the internet as much as he could, and frankly, he was taking steps to even achieve this entire situation. But even before this, EDP showed no remorse, because at some point he was even starting his own website, EDP445.com. And if you don't believe me, let's go to our good friend Wayback Machine, which will actually fill the entire situation up even more than I can lay it out on you. Yeah, according to the Wayback Machine, this was coming soon, launching Tuesday, 6th, 8th, okay? Like, basically shortly after this entire situation had even blown up. Now, normally, like I said, if anybody was caught doing this, they would keep their head down and stay away from the internet. This is just inviting extra trouble on you, especially when you've done something as heinous and emotionally charged as what EDP had ended up going to, as what EDP was caught doing. I don't know how real this is, but I found this video that I found a little bit funny of this guy, like Upward Ninja, who like basically showcased what this website eventually was. This is on the 5th of May, 2021. Yeah, this man claims to have bought the actual web domain and has replaced it apparently with what seems to be cupcakes and whatnot. And if this isn't savage enough and tells you that the internet never forgets, I don't know what is. Now, this actually shifted the big Reddit that EDP had, the EDP445 Reddit, which started in 2017, long before any of this became a thing. And eventually what had happened was they shifted from like, you know, talking about EDP to like discussing where EDP would be after these actual allegations that ended up dropping. Now, at this point, I want to start this video off by saying this gets into like some real harassment tier territory, at least from some of these individuals. EDP's life is all but over. The man might not be in prison, but he lives in a prison of his own making, especially socially. When you're caught with things like this, people do not forget. People do, especially on the internet, especially when you've been as popular as EDP445 has ever been. Now, of course, TikTokers ended up finding out that he was actually doing Lyft jobs, so he was driving this Hyundai around and effectively was a new guy, did like 10 rides, and apparently this is an image of him driving his like car around doing Lyft jobs. So what had definitely happened was people who were like against EDP, went to Lyft, contacted them, and ended up having his like account shut down. There was even discussion that has EDP applied for Chuck E. Cheese at some point, which while this post says it's kind of smart, he'd be in a suit, but also very stupid because no child family friendly restaurant is going to hire him. Yeah, when you have allegations as serious as this, no firm is going to let you apply if you have any form of people, any minors anywhere close to that company. And again, I don't think EDP actually ever applied for Chuck E. Cheese. I think this might be a meme that spawned from a video we're soon going to be seeing, where a lot of this crux leads to. So this brings us to the next sort of arc, which is what this leads to, where EDP's life was effectively ruined so hard that searching his name at all on the internet brought up something even more heinous than what would have been a standard criminal search. So, like EDP, like most people in this situation, go for name changes. If you ever really realize a name change doesn't change your criminal records, okay? As far as I know, your criminal records stick with you until they're commuted by the actual government. But since EDP never really apparently went into the law enforcement system, his name was branded over the internet. If you search up EDP or his actual name, it'll give you these allegations as like one of the first top 10 results, which is bad. If you apply for a job like that, you're never ever gonna get the job. So what EDP did is he changed his name, or at least it's what it appears to be, where he did a petition for change of name. Obviously, if he changed his name to like something like, Stephen Hawk, then maybe life could be different for him. But of course, with these petitions, no one actually knows what the full name change is, and nobody even knows if the petition went through. Because when somebody has actual legal stuff headed towards them, I believe name changes aren't even allowed to go through simply because there's an actual case running on them. They may be going through the court system, and frankly, nobody's going to allow that until all those matters are truly resolved. But yeah, anyways, EDP goes through this name change thing, and regardless, people keep finding the guy, finding wherever he is, and effectively getting him removed from all of his jobs, which is a lot, okay? Now to understand, from what it seems like, EDP is penniless, where EDP had a pretty successful career, but I don't think he was intelligent on saving his money. So what effectively happened in that case was people found EDP, all right? They basically prevented him from making any form of income. And of course, YouTube money dries up pretty quickly, especially if you're not financially apt, like it seemed EDP was. So basically, he's living not paycheck to paycheck, because the paychecks have stopped, but he's basically draining funds to the point where he's soon to be like pretty homeless and destitute. Now, let's get started with one thing. I have no sympathy for a man like EDP simply due to the fact that the stuff that he was caught doing was so heinous that I have nothing but disgust for this man. But when I look at situations like this, when people are caught with severe allegations like this, if somebody really wants to go to like the law enforcement, all right, somebody wants to like, admit they have like problems and then choose to seek counseling and therapy so that they can get over these problems, get over these disgusting attractions, then I 100% support that, okay? I think that's a good move to take. However, it all changes if you actually try going through and committing the crime. At that point, I have no sympathy. Now, do I agree with hunting the man down and making sure he loses every ounce that makes him happy? Absolutely not. Pushing a person to the absolute edge will cause them to do things that may be way worse than what they initially intended to do. And you don't even want to be close to responsible for any of that shit. So really, in my opinion, looking at this, taking this as a cautionary tale and reporting EDP to the law enforcement is a decent step to take. Anything beyond that, where you're actually going out there and like harming the guy either physically or absolutely chasing him to the ends of the earth and making sure the life is completely miserable that he's living, maybe in some cases a bit of a step too far. Contact the law enforcement, give them everything that you have, and let them fix this as much as they can. The internet is a ruthless place when you get down to it, okay? When you get caught doing stuff as heinous as this, it shouldn't surprise you that, like, 4chan and, like, places on the internet, the image board communities, people who definitely fall into the vigilante camp, or people who do get emotionally charged, rightfully so in a lot of cases, by heinous accusations and allegations like this, especially when you're caught on a 40-minute sting operation doing and admitting to some fucked up shit. You shouldn't be surprised that the internet is ruthless, okay? EDP's problem is that he had faced fame with a double-edged sword. He was famous on the internet, and that same fame, when he was caught doing some really messed up stuff, has now absolutely turned his life into a giant prison cell. Honestly, EDP would be far better if he was in prison right now, getting the help that he deserves, okay? Because in that case, at least he could turn out to be a much better person. At least he could admit and know that what he did was goddamn wrong. Now, where the story really gets into is like this channel, Felipe, which I believe is one of EDP's friends. Don't quote me on that one. But this guy's basic channel revolves around, you know, covering the Eagles, just like EDP would, talking about changing fluid transmission. But if you notice, some of the most popular videos are not the ones where he's talking about the Eagles versus the Redskins, or the Eagles versus the Giants. It's, in fact, is EDP445 in jail? Now, this video is one that I wanted to see because this is just like a few weeks old, a month old, 3 weeks old, and we're going to watch it. It's only 4 minutes and 51 seconds long. There's a few takeaways to take from this and sort of like understand. So let's jump into it real quick.
2 minutes later or so, I pretty much got a call from a no caller ID number, so I didn't pick up. Then a minute later or two, I got the same call. So right here is my bill to show you guys where I was at, right? Santa Monica.
Stop doxing yourself. I have to like actually stop it with these receipts. Who spends $476 at a goddamn... Is that one person eating? God damn, that's bad.
It said, I was like, you know, hello? And it said, this is the Henderson, Nevada detention center, inmate for Brian Moreland. Would you like to receive the call? And I like hung up, you know, and then called again. And the same thing happened, you know, would you like to receive a call? So I said yes, because I was like, you know, I was just curious to see, like, holy shit, like he got arrested, like wow, you know. How true that is, I do not know. I mean, you guys are a bunch of FBI little agents out there, you know, you guys can figure that stuff out, you know.
Don't take the call to action, all right? Don't press into this further than you have to. It's not worth the mental health issues. So anyways, his like claim to proof right here was the fact that he received these 4 calls from no caller ID, unknown numbers, 7:58 p.m., 7:56 p.m., 7:55 p.m., and some other time that was shortly a couple minutes before. This is the only actual piece of evidence in this entire like 4-minute and 45-second spiel that I ended up seeing, and none of it proved that EDP was actually in prison. Now, the reason why I personally want to tie this video off and like end this wild goose chase that I was stuck in since last night is that I don't believe EDP is in prison. Simply due to the fact that EDP, the actual investigation initially done by Chet Goldstein, who had his channel removed on the internet, by the way, is still active on the internet too. I believe he runs a channel called PP Official, or he's part of it. Like he doesn't run this channel. I think it's using the loophole where he's like a host on the channel, but you know, that it's a totally different thing. He's still active on YouTube. A lot of people have been saying that this guy was removed and super canceled. He's actually still on, actually confronting and finding other predators on the internet. So yeah, he's still there. But again, just an offhand mention, I don't think EDP is in prison, because when these guys did the investigation, they botched it up so bad, and they really made it more about like, can we get these videos monetized and blown up in the entire algorithm and like push our brand, more so than actually stopping what appeared to be like one of the most like outlandish predators we had ever seen. And in that case, you know, they didn't get in touch with law enforcement. It wasn't even until the end of the video where they were calling up the cops out of nowhere and telling them, hey, can you guys show up? Can you guys show up? Yeah, of course the cops are going to randomly show up then. It was literally these videos that like caused, I think, EDP to not be charged initially and put into the system. And honestly, given the fact that EDP's probably burned a lot of money on lawyers, and the fact that this case has gone super duper cold, I don't know if it's an active investigation. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But as far as I can probably imagine, there's no proof out there that says EDP is still in prison. So there is no massive update. But one thing that I have learned about this is like, damn, the internet really is a ruthless place. And if it's something that I come out of this situation is that I really do hope that there is an arrest made for EDP and he does go to prison and actually gets some therapy and help in that regard, okay? Because at the end of the day, that is the best thing possible for him, to be arrested, to face some consequences in life, go through some level of therapy, and make sure that when he comes out, he doesn't actually offend like this ever. Now, do I believe in second chances? Yeah. From my understanding, it didn't seem like EDP had ever went through committing a crime. Although that sting operation, if it wasn't a sting operation, I could only dread to think what kind of nasty stuff would have occurred. If EDP has not committed any crime, then I believe in a second chance only if he's willing to go through being arrested, being put through the system, and goddamn facing some therapy for these situations. And it's this kind of stuff that needs to be called out by the community, needs to be covered, and it's one of the things that needs to be involved in self-policing our own community. People like this exist all over the internet, and the more they get called out, and the more they get stopped, and the more they get put through the right system, the legal system, and being given the therapy that they're entitled to, that they should go through, is honestly the best step that anyone can take. When I look through this entire situation of people hounding him and like making him lose every avenue and source of money that he has and basically getting him evicted from every possible living establishment, I can only imagine when a man is pushed so far to the edge, what could potentially happen. It's a cautionary tale waiting to happen, and I hope, regardless of anything, EDP just gets arrested and put through the system, goes through therapy, and hopefully comes out as a better human being. Again, the likelihood of that, given how much of the history of this stuff that I've seen with my own eyes, probably very nil. But a man can hope. That said, though, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.